Hello there. Many thanks for joining us on our discussion program, Focus Live. Focus Live at this time of every week is where we discuss topical issues of various degrees and importance. My name is Carol Itaiwo. I am your host on the program, and today we want to look at one aspect of what I would call natural gifts that God had given us, which we seem not to be utilizing, particularly in this part of Africa, Nigeria specifically. And they are talking about culture and tourism. And then today we're discussing it under the inability of the Africans majorly to tap culture and the tourism sites and opportunities for economic gains. I have in the house to look at this all-important topic. The man who is also saddled with that responsibility in Ogun State here, the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism and Culture in Ogun State, Dr. Toyin Taiwo. It's my pleasure having you join us on the program.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Thank you very much.
All right. Since we're talking about culture here and tourism, I want to plead that maybe you allow our viewer to really see your face.
Okay.
I know you have additional responsibility as the chairman of COVID Task Force in Ogun State.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we are compliant here.
Yeah.
The distance is there.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah. Good afternoon, viewers.
All right. Once again, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Now, let's begin this discussion by putting some few things in perspective. When we say culture and tradition, are they similar or are they the same thing? Is there any difference?
Yeah. Thank you. If we need to draw the line of difference between culture and tradition, we found out that there are not much differences, because when we're talking of our culture, we're talking of what we believe, we're talking of what we inherit or we have inherited from our parent. We're talking of a journey, a voyage that will take us backward to some yesteryears, what people just take without even challenging it to believe as part of life. Okay. The norms, the laws, our dancing, and every other thing that we are believed to know that is part of us, part of our daily activities, part of our behavior, part of the way we do things. And now when we talk of tradition, I don't see much differences between our culture and our tradition, because tradition is also telling us of what we believe, what our father had given us, or what we have inherited from them, and then we didn't even have anything to query it, whether it's right or wrong. Okay. So that's it. So I don't think there's much difference between culture and our tradition. All right.
Since the two words is more like what we use interchangeably, how far is our culture from religion? Or do I say how far is our tradition from religion?
Religion is also a culture.
Okay.
Because culture is believed to be the way our people do things, or what we believe that we practice. So religion is also what we practice. So you can't separate religion from culture. You cannot separate culture from religion, because every religion, every denominations have their own way of worshiping God. And since it is a kind of belief that have been transferred from one generation to the other, then it's believed to be a culture. Okay. So, but some people are having some misconceptions that culture is different from religion. No, it's the same. Because in that what you're practicing, whether you be a Muslim, you be a Christian, or you be the other one, the traditional believers, what we believe is that there are some lay down process and ways of which you worship God, the Almighty God. So it's a kind of culture. It's a kind of thing that we believe without even querying it. And that's culture for you. It's a kind of a journey that have been coming from the past to the present and will still be going into the future. So it's a kind of a thing that we believe is a norm, is a law, is things that we have inherited and then we now practice it. And that is what also happened in the religion sector. So religion is culture, culture is religion.
Okay, all right. I actually opened the discussion from that perspective because of the fact that our focus is actually culture and tourism.
Okay.
And I know that we just have to get these two things because along the discussion we might be, going in and out of it. Now, understanding the concept of culture now, it now means that if we properly put it together, add some modernity and all of that, it could be a source of revenue generation, particularly African culture, because of so many beautiful things we do. We do painting, we do sculpture, we do dancing, even our dresses. I'm just even getting to realize that you are on one of our traditional attire, and I'm also I'm just saying that. All right. So, how do you think we achieve this, making money out of our culture?
Thank you very much. The first and foremost, we need to first of all reposition our cultural value.
Okay.
We need to rebrand it and package it well to the outside world for them to be able to buy into it. We have cultural diversity. We should use and push that our advantage. Particularly in Nigeria, all our tourism is centered on events, which we need to take advantage of. Naturally blessed, we have cultural diversities, we have a lot of cultural things that can attract and glue tourists. We have cultural tourism. People come in here when they get to know that you have some cultural beliefs that look quite interesting. Some of them are mysterious. So, and you know the white man are always very inquisitive. They want to see what is behind this thing that is happening. We have a masquerade, we have the gelede, we have the religious aspect of it. Look at, if we have to tap into religious tourism, we have all the headquarters of all churches situated in Ogun State here. The Celestial is there. At Imeko there. We have Winners Chapel at Songo there. You have the Redeemed Christian Church of God at along Ibadan Expressway. You have Mountain of Fire. So we can tap into these things. NASFAT and others. So we can tap into this advantage, this natural endowed advantage that God has given to us, and translate it into economic benefit for Nigeria and the state. We are rushing to Mecca, we are rushing to Israel. It's because we were able to painstakingly package their the opportunity they have, their natural opportunity, and then tell the story behind it. And people are attracted to want to go and confirm. If we are able to do that in Ogun State and in Nigeria here, we're going to take advantage of all this, our religious tourism, and we're going to use it to boost the economy. Not only that, it's going to create a lot of employment. Because we're going to have tour guide, people that are going to be engaged. When they come around, when visitors come around, they want to take them around and they'll be engaged. Not only that, they'll tell the story and history behind all those cultural diversity and cultural values. And then until when we start seeing it that way, that's where we start benefiting from it. Because what you do not value, you are going to lose it. A lot of us does not value our culture and we're losing it fast. So until when we start valuing what we have and repackaging it and letting the whole world know that this is our advantage, and we're pushing our advantage than pushing our disadvantage. We found that it's going to eventually give us a lot of benefits in terms of employment, in terms of economic benefit, and some other things like that. And then it will start attracting people into the state and into the nation. People want to come and see what is happening there. We have a lot of festivals that are internationally recognized. Ojúde Ọba, when they want to do Ojúde Ọba, like we say, it's our cultural belief. You see people coming from the diaspora, moving into the country, influx of people with their land Yoruba. We have the Lishade there, we have the Oromo there. There are history behind all these festivals that make the tourists want to come around within that period, to want to come and witness and see, and also confirm if what they have seen online or the story they've heard about it, whether it is true or not. So it's we that have those culture that we first of all need to sit down and value it and place more premium on it, and let people know that what we have is what we are going to sell to the whole world. Simply put, it can be translated to economic benefit.
All right. Now, talking about economic benefits, now what comes to mind readily is that if you look at Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, you'll find countries like Kenya making several billions of dollars through tourism. Okay, they have wildlife, majorly. South Africa, even some of these other countries that are not so vast as Nigeria is, make a lot of money. But in Nigeria, we seem not to have been able to get it right when it comes to tourism, despite beautiful places we have in this country. You know, the Ogudu Cattle Ranch is there in Cross River. We have Kanji Dam. We have so many. Even Ogun State, we have so many. No. But it's like the income from tourism is not actually commensurating with what we have in Nigeria. What exactly is the problem? And how do we possibly take advantage of this?
Thank you very much. Like I said, we need to reposition our mindset about tourism. We Nigerians see tourism as just dancing activities. We are not looking at the other aspect that tourism can give us economic benefit. The countries you have mentioned, a lot of them are not naturally endowed like Nigeria, but painstakingly they've taken time to put more money to build the little things they have, even though if it's artificial, because they know that there's going to be a lot of traffic coming into the state, which is going to translate to foreign currency. Now, come to Nigeria, we are so blessed. Even come to Ogun State here, we have over 60 tourism sites in the state that are not well developed, apart from Odumo that is have been developed for some time now. We still have some other places that need the attention of private people that are interested in coming to invest. Now, like I said, we need to reposition our thinking. We need to start putting money in the tourism sector. We need to start reviving. We have been able to identify a lot of things that can give us money apart from the oil. But are we ready to give it what it takes? Are we ready to really give it the facilities or create facilities around those tourist sites that can interest or attract international tourists? That's the concern. The concern is particularly in Ogun State, we have a vision. We're creating enabling environment for private-public partnership. And that is very key. Why is it key? Because we believe that it's going to eventually translate to the prosperity of our people. That's the vision that is guiding us. That's the reason why we have been able to identify. Like in Ogun State here, you mentioned wildlife. We have elephant at T4 there. If we are to be some other country, they're going to take advantage of it. But this tourism sector needs a lot of funding. We need to package this well for the investors to let them see the advantage. If I'm putting my money into this business, what am I going to make? Any business-minded person will always think of, if my money is coming into this thing, what am I going to make? And if you have to compare it with what other countries are making out of tourism, we find out that we are losing a lot, and we are naturally blessed. Like I've mentioned those places, if we are able to fund, we're able to put more money into it, we're able to get some facilities, some facilities that is going to attract tourists to the States. You find out that we can now translate it to economic benefit. So the first thing first is that we have been able to identify. Nigeria knows, we keep talking about tourism can give us money, but what steps are we taking to actualize this our dream? We have positive of fund. People do not have interest in putting their money. Some people think if you put your money, you're not going to get it back. No. The return on the investment is going to be fantastic. You can Google it and see what other countries are making when it comes to tourism. Look at South Africa there, Egypt there, you have Morocco, you have Tunisia, and Kenya, and those other places you have mentioned. They don't have the natural endowment like we have in Nigeria. But because there are policies that are looking at that angle, and the government is funding that area, that's why you see them getting back the benefit, the economic benefit. People are moving down there, foreign exchange and some other things. So we need to change our mindset that tourism in Nigeria is about entertainment. We need to stop those things. Look at what our creative industry are doing. Creative industry alone, they are raking a lot of money into Nigeria, and that is private sector. We can't integrate it into the government policy and take advantage of what we have in the tourism and in the tourism aspect of it, particularly in Nigeria. And we need to have a handshake with private people, the business-minded one, investors, that can help us revive this our tourist attraction naturally, and then also make sure that we were able to project it to the world as something that we can showcase and attract tourists to the world. What does tourists look at? That's the first thing we need to look at. What's their need? Okay. Once we're able to supply the demands of the tourists and we can get an equilibrium. Once the demand meets with the supply, we get an equilibrium. That means we've gotten the breakthrough. That's the aspect at which we need to be looking at it, particularly in Nigeria. That we are endowed does not mean that if we leave it and we are not tapping into it, then it will remain untapped. We are making efforts. We have policies. Like Ogun State, we made a lot of policies to make sure that we have a broader market in our tourism sector. But we also need an handshake with the private people. That be ready to manage all those tourist sites for us.
That's even the question I actually wanted to ask. That if the government is providing the policy and the framework, why not possibly leave the sector in the hands of private investments? Will you prefer that the private investors actually take absolute control, or you still feel private-public sector partnership will be the answer? Because you said, like you said, it requires a lot of funding. And if you recall, sometimes in the past, We used to have sports tourism very well in Nigeria, football in particular. But at the point in time, most private investors in football withdrew themselves. I recall that it was Shivem Abiola who led that protest, that we are putting in our money, we are not getting it back. So Abiola Babes, Leventis United, Iwanya, and all of them just moved out, leaving it in the hands of government. And that's where we find ourselves with football and sports now. Look, taking that as case study, will you prefer that government make the framework, the policy, and the private sector take charge of our tourism?
It's two ways we have to look at it. Two people are coming on board, the government and the private sector. We need to define it. We need to have an MOU.
Okay.
There's no government that wants the total ownership of its property to be given to private people. They will take advantage of it. They will monopolize it. Eventually, at the end of the day, we're not going to achieve the purpose which we intend to have for our people, to translate to individual prosperity. We want to engage our people. But if it is totally left in the hand of the private people, they will want to think of their gain first. And then they will not be able to achieve that our vision and objective. So we just need to define it. There's nothing bad in having an handshake with them. Okay. But we need to get to the drawing board. Let them know that, okay, you are bringing your finance, no problem. Your finance is there, no problem. Take the aspect of the finance and the technicality of it. Let's handle the administrative aspect and the administrative aspect and the policy making aspect. Once it is defined like that, then we won't have an issue. But when it's not well defined, if there is an agreement and there's no definitions, nobody knows what I'm doing, nobody knows which the other partner is doing, then there's going to be rancor and there's going to be problem. And that's why you see them pulling out, particularly in the sport tourism, because they're not getting anything. They're putting their money, but they need to go back and revisit the MOU. There must have been an agreement. Because government is continuum. Yeah. We have a stipulated time. The mandate is given. And then within that stipulated time, you want to make sure that you also have the interest of people at heart. That's government, that's the government position. Okay. That the people, you want to protect your people, you want to make sure that they get a job, you want to make sure that they benefit from any agreement that you are doing on any MOU. So that I think can be resolved with any serious minded partner. We need to just define it. Okay, you take this aspect in the agreement. Leave the aspects of the administration and everything for the government to do. Bring your finance, do the technical work, and then the two of us will now see to it and make sure that we monitor it to a conclusive head. You can also concession for certain years, after which it returns back to the government, so that at the end of the day, it will not look as if we are selling the government property or the people's property, the taxpayer property, and we're giving it to one person. So that's just it. We just need to understand, go back to our MOU, let everybody define what you need to do, let everybody take his own aspect of it, and then once there's an agreement, I don't see why the two people will not benefit. Because the money is there. The man that is bringing his money knows that he must get the return back on his investment. And that's the private people for you. Any private-minded person, we're always thinking of, what do I get? So the government is there to provide an enabling environment, to make sure that the ease of doing business is okay. A lot of reforms are going on to make sure that you don't find it difficult to be able to do your business. And that's fine. That's the government aspect. But your own aspect, it has to be defined. If it's properly defined, then I don't think that there's going to be any rancor or somebody pulling out from the agreement or taking one another to court or becoming, you understand, going to litigations and all those things. It won't get to that place once it is properly defined. Once it's properly defined, then I think it's easy to go, and it's really going to really help us. Okay. In advanced country, this is what they are pushing as an advantage. The private investors have the money. So the government aspect, we have all it takes. We have the land, we have the policy to make, so that at the end of the day, the two people, the two partners will be able to enjoy it. It's just to integrate it. That's my own reasoning. So I don't see anybody backing out or losing out of it. once the MOU is rightly spelled out. That's my take.
Okay. Now, before we go on the break, let me also put this one across very quickly. Now, Nigeria has played host to several international programs through one agency or the other. And one would have expected that if we really want to push our tourism business, such should have provided an opportunity where a guided tour, even if it is just one or two places, such international figures will just be encouraged to say, okay, let's visit Olumo in Abeokuta, or let's visit Yankari Game Reserve in Bauchi, or maybe somewhere else in the country. But I discovered that most times, not only federal, even at the different states level, we don't encourage such things. Because, for instance, in Osun, you have Kogosi and some other few places in that place.
In Ekiti.
In Ekiti.
In Odoni Hill.
In Odoni Hill is also. So, what do you think of such opportunities? What I call guided tours. People want to know where, for instance, the center of Iwoye, where two former Kakanfos have actually come from in Ogun State, and we have the border between Nigeria. These are places where people may want to. Do you see possibility of taking such guided tours as an opportunity to expose our tourism potentials?
Any team, we always want to feed the best 11 in order to be able to win.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking of Nigeria, we have some international, we have hosted some international tournaments, some international figures are coming in. The first thing you first of all need to consider, the places you want to take them to, what's the position, what's the situation? How are the places that you intend to take somebody to, or you want somebody to visit? It must have been somewhere that you yourself will be proud of. It must be somewhere that you know that when you get there, you will not be disappointed. That must have been, you must have been spending money, you must have been doing some infrastructural, innovations, meeting up with the world class. Then you'll be proud to always want to see, once you have any visitors, say, come around. When you have something good in your house, say, come around, come and see this. Come and see my swimming pool. Come and see this and that. So, I don't know about Nigeria, but in Ogun State, because we are proud of most of the tourists, we've always getting the attention of the government. And anytime any visitor, high delegate team from anywhere comes into the state, the first thing His Excellency Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun Mefa will tell you, you need to visit some places so that you have the memory of Ogun State as you leave. And that has always been it. Even just last week we had some visitors, we have to take them down to Ulumo.
Okay.
The ambassador of France, the France country came around. We took him to Ulumo and most of the guests. Understand? So the reason why some states may not be able to showcase what they have is because they've not been able to give those tourist sites the needed attention. Once the needed attention has not been given, it's not going to be a thing of pride to want to take your visitor there. So the question is, once you are sure of where you want to take people to, or you want them to visit, then you must have been very confident that, okay, where I'm taking this person to is something that is going to have a memorable experience, is something that we always want to come again. Or is going to share this experience and tell them that, oh, I went to so place, I really enjoyed it, can you also visit there, and some other things like that. So I'm sure that's one of the reasons why some states are not proud to take their guests to their tourist attraction site, because they've not given it the necessary attention. If it has been given the necessary attention and it has been able to meet up with the world class, tourist sites, they'll be willing. Okay. And once you get to any country, everybody is willing. You want to visit there, you want to visit there. In US, you want to visit Coca-Cola, they'll take you to their CNN and say, let us go there to visit. Because they know what they have there. That when you get there, the experience that you're going to have is going to be memorable and something you're not going to forget. Something that you always want to taste after and pant
You
after
want
to want to come
recall.
again.
Okay.
So, and that's what we're doing in Ogun State.
All right, we'll still talk more about what Ogun State is doing in tourism sector. We'll take this short break. When we come back, my guest is still in the house, and we'll be looking more inwards now, the tourism opportunities we have in Ogun State, how much more that we can get in terms of revenue from these tourist sites. That's what we'll be looking at. So we'll come back after this short break. Back, it's still Focus Live, and we're still looking at tourism, Nigeria's untapped revenue source. My guest is still the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism and Culture, Dr. Toyin Taiwo, and we've been looking at general perspective of tourism and culture in the last couple of minutes. At this time, we'll be looking more inwards this time around and see what perhaps the Ogun State government is actually also doing in terms of tourism, in terms of cultural development and the potentials that we can derive thereof. And that's you also have the opportunity to be part of it as soon as the phone lines are on. You can just call us, you can ask questions, you can suggest, just to be part of it. All right. Yes, the Honorable Commissioner, from your submission before we went on break, infrastructure is very key if we want to gain from tourism potentials. And since we are coming home, I know that quite a number of infrastructural projects are being embarked by the present government. We'll still get there. The government is still just about 2 years, so we are still moving on. But let's look at some specific areas where we have these potentials. We talk about Imeko, for instance. Apart from the congregation of the members of Celestia, we have a lot of things there, including the
Osuru Spring.
Osuru Spring. We have Etakwele Mountain.
Yeah.
Even the bunk of the founder of Celestia is also another tourist place. Yeah. Now, how do we harness all of all these I've mentioned are in one local government? Yeah. You can imagine if we really tap into these things, how do we go about it?
Thank you very much. Like you have rightly said, one of the things that is very key to tourists is accessibility to the site.
Okay.
And most of these are naturally endowed facilities or naturally endowed things that we have around Ogun State here. They are mostly located in the rural area. Thank God that when this government came on board, the first thing they considered is the connectivity of the urban area to the rural area. The road that can link us from different, rural area to the urban area. And that's what you saw along that Tepe expressway that is going on.
Okay.
It's just for us to be able to have access in terms of tourists coming into the state and then to visit most of those tourist attraction center. Like you mentioned, we have the Osuru Spring in Imeko, apart from the gathering of the celestial people at Imeko, there in their thousands. The Osuru Spring, the government is looking at it, and we are still doing some consultation. The water there is so pure, very pure that some people confirm, if I'm allowed to use it, that it's even more pure than what you call those bottled water. And it's naturally okay according to some findings and some research that it does a lot of healing. There's a lot of history behind it. That once you take it, there are some diseases it cures and some things like that. We need to take advantage of all those places. The Otakwili mountain that have just mentioned, this is a mountain that looks in its appearance as human being. When you look at Otakwili, you look as if this is human being carved. These are natural things that God has given to us, that the government is looking into. We're trying to select some of those attractive centers and give to some investors to turn it around and turn it to money spinner. Because if we're able to do that, apart from the job creation, it's also going to project that community and place the community on the world map. And everybody will be interested and say, yeah, it's just somewhere like this in Imeko. It's also local government in Ogun State. Now, that's why the government is giving all those tourist sites the needed attention. And like we said, we need a lot of money, and the government is making all effort. Just last week, the revenue mobilization from Abuja and fiscal commission came around to Ogun State. The governor applied, and tourism is one of the areas they are looking into. That if it's well funded, we'll be able to use it to generate more money. Apart from the job creations, apart from the fact that we're going to showcase it to the world, it's going to also engage most of our youth. Because anything that has to do with tourism, you have the tour guide, you have the tour operators, you have a lot of people getting engaged. There's this value chain that are going to involve everybody. So, and we as a government, led by His Excellency, we've made a lot of policies, like I said, that can actually give us a wider market. But we need funds to actualize this our policy, to take us from where we are to where we want to be. And it's our desire to leave the state better off than what we met. And we are looking holistically into that aspect of tourism. How do we translate it to something that will be beneficiary to the local community? They are there to the women, and of course most of them are being deprived, particularly the women that are involved in all these creative activities at home, and then the younger generation. And so we're looking at it, how to really translate it. I've told you about the religious tourism, but the government is looking at it critically and trying to reposition it. And one of the steps the government is doing, that's why we have the law that established Ogun Invest. Ogun Invest is an agency that want to be having an handshake. They go to all ministry, tell us what you have, what are the potential investment potentials that you have, so that they can have handshake with investors and tell them, okay, we have, and discuss with them, we have such thing here, we have something in this agency, we have that in this agency. And that's why the government has established them, so that we can revive most of this, our moribund site. A lot of them are there, they've not gotten attention for some years, and they've gone moribund. But this administration is doing all we can. The first thing we did was to first of all identify. When we identified it, we are ready, and the aspect, we have the 5 policies that governs the ministry. We call it policy reform. When we have identified, we want to propagate what we have to the world. We want to present it to them We want to also protect, preserve, and also promote it. The 5 P's. And that's what we're doing, and that is what is really guiding us. Because the vision is also to identify, to make sure we get these things for the economic benefit of the people. The people is key in anything we do. And that's what this government is, people-centric. They're about the people. What concerns us is how do we develop the life of the people. The community, how do they benefit from the government of the day? And most of these things are in their areas. Well, apart from, the central that is already developed, I want to try to do 1 or 2 information about it. We are going to other interiors to identify and discover, and then present it to Ogun Invest for them to now repackage it well, give them all the necessary data. When we are carrying out research too, we need a lot of money.
Yeah.
We get questions from people. We go to the community. The community is also key. There are the stakeholders there. They're also key. We want to know so that by the time we bring those things, the development in those places will not also destroy the environment. Because ecotourism is also there. We need to preserve and conserve our environment. So those are the things that we're looking at in Ogun State holistically, and which is being driven. The government have very good policies, Excellency has the good policies, and that is what is driving us. His policy has translated to our own aspiration that is keeping us moving, giving us the vigor, giving us the strength, giving us the idea. It's a rallying point that we need to make sure that we leave Ogun State better off than we do. And that's why we make sure we visit all these areas, know their problem, know the state at which they are, and we try to do what is needful as a government, and possibly repackaging it for the private to come and put their money there.
Okay. Now, there is this aspect of cultural tourism.
Yeah.
You mentioned that of Ojudoba in Ijebu,
Yes.
which is already an established yearly cultural event.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent the government is actually making income through it. But leaving that, we still have so many other cultural events that are waiting to be tapped, to be rebranded so that it can actually bring in income. For instance, I know the K2s are very good when it comes to Gelede.
Yeah.
I mean, K2 area coming to Yewa, they are very good at Gelede. And I imagine if you bring all the Geledes from Yewa's area to Ilaro for maybe 1, 2, or 3, or 1 week, or when you bring all the Egunguns from Agbara, Igbesa, and the other areas to Ota, because I know that when it comes to Egungun, Ota is well known for that. But how do you think government can harness all this? Because if you have seen crowds at these cultural festivals, you begin to wonder how much of money is government really making out of it. What do we do?
Thank you very much. Like the other ones you have said, the Ojudoba, the Lishabi, the Orono, those are well-established ones. But how do we now take advantage of what we have? We, as the tourism aspect, that's something we need to know. We have the UNESCO World Tourism Organization. They have a particular department that is interested in wanting to make our tourist site world tourism, world tourism site.
Like Oshobo, they get annual subvention from UNESCO,
and that really helps us.
And
then we only have Biliki Sumbo de Redo, that is just a tentative one.
Okay.
World Heritage Site is just the only one we have in Ogun State, and it's tentative. The document for Olumo Rock is still in process, trying to make sure that we also make it a World Heritage Site. Once you get to that stage, you see them start funding it. All those ones you have, all those events that you have mentioned, the Gelede, the Egunguns, and other things like that. We as a Ministry of Culture and Tourism, we are doing all we can, particularly the planning, research, and statistics. We're giving them a lot to do. We need to research into these things and get a lot of data. Because you see, all this UNESCO, all these other people, the World Tourism Organization, they believe so much in data.
Okay.
They don't believe you just come and tell us what is not. When you show the pictures, some of them believe that these are just photo books. But these things are real. So, but if we now get enough data to prove to them that these things are real, that's when we start getting the buying in. Like you have rightly said, we have the Gomode in Ota there, and many other things that we're trying to promote. But we need funding to carry out this research work.
And the fund is not available.
It's not available. Out of the paucity of all His Excellency is trying. Whenever we write any memo, you give us approval. You understand? But it's not enough, because we have some other agency competing for this money too. You understand? So what is us here is that that's why we are repositioning, the tourism aspect and the cultural aspect, the richness of our culture, to the people out there. Come and believe in what we have. You understand? Come and believe in what we are trying to showcase to the world. Come with your own ideas.
Okay.
And let us sit together on a round table and then see how we can reposition this thing, give it a good branding, a good packaging, and send it to the whole world, so that at the end of the day, we'll get the influx of people coming in. Whenever the tourists come around, there's a lot of advantage.
Yeah.
They come with the foreign money. They come and stay for 2-3 days. The hospitality industry are benefiting from it. The transporters are benefiting from it, because they will move from one point to the other. That's tourism.
Yeah.
Tourism is about moving from point A to point B. To see something that excites you.
Yeah.
To see something that you have pleasures that want to give you some kind of satisfaction. That's what tourism is all about. Apart from that, we have our cuisine there. The food vendor are going to benefit from it. So the important thing is, how do we drive traffic to all this event? How do you do it? By making sure that we have done our research work, we are doing it properly. We are also making sure that we are available at every point in time to attend those festivals. Ask questions from people that are there about the history behind all those things, the Gelede, the Eligugu, how long have they been existing, what family is involved in it, are there some don't and do, some don't do and do, and some other things like that. We get it down. As our research team, we package it, give the data to these people, and also project it online. When the government did the policy of onboarding our Adire online, it was a huge benefit for the people in the industry. They are all happy, jubilating. They smile. Oh, the turnover in that sector now is amazing. The Yalojars are always very happy, because they don't need the little money that they get from financial institutions. They don't need it. When it became a policy, when the government we make policies to make sure we broaden the market. Every political holders, every civil servant, over 60,000 of them must put on Adire every Friday. When I resume office, I change all my wardrobe. What I put on now from day 1 to day 7 is Adire. Even on Sunday, I've gotten suits that I sold in Adire. You understand? Just to showcase and to back up the policy of His Excellency. And this thing has actually translated to a lot of economic benefit to the people. So what we need to do about those festivity or festivals is to make sure that we get enough information. We send our officers there. They just did one recently at Epokia. The officers were there. They got all the information. They got to know that it has been existing for about 18 something century. We get all those data and make sure that they are facts and figure and present it to the world, so that you don't look as if we are trying to fake anything. We give it to the world. It becomes an attraction to the world. People have interest in it. They want to see, this kind of a thing is existing here. And once they get to know that, you see them having a panting and desire to want to come. So we are working as a Ministry of Culture and Tourism to make sure that we repackage all these our festivals and the values of our culture to the world, so that we can place them on the world map. Apart from that, to also make sure that we get the traffic of people coming in to visit us. We call them cultural tourists. They come around and they spend their money, and those days that they stay around, it translates to economic benefit to the people around there and to the state in general.
Now, good enough that you have just said something about attracting tourist traffic. Is that a possibility? Because tourism is all about a planned holiday, particularly foreign tourists. They always plan their holidays to go to specific places. Now that we don't have most of our cultural festivals harmonized, it might be a bit difficult for foreign tourists to guide themselves and say, okay, if we finish with Lishabi Festival in Abeokuta, we can move to Gerede Festival in Ketu, all in 2 weeks or thereabout. Is that a possibility of such planned program, that cultural festival will just come maybe 4 weeks at a stretch? So you know that maybe from October 1st to November to October 30th, in Ogun State, it's a cultural and tourism month, so that people can come all over. Is that a possibility?
There's something that is not possible, but you need to first of all consult with the stakeholders. Those days were picked by the forefathers, whether by believe in one divine way or the other, and they don't want to change it. That's why you see that if those days were not observed when we had COVID-19 around the 2019 and 2020 period, a lot of them did not observe it. They had to change it. So it's going to be very difficult to now say that we want to have them in a 4-week stretch so that people can plan their holiday and come and attend all of them. As it's scattered, we can also make it more attractive that somebody will say, okay, let me visit my holiday, I will come around Ojudioba or Orono or the Gomode at Ota or at the Lishabi at Abeokuta. But what we're doing as government is that we're trying to have a shake with some other ministries. Like if you look at that along the central in Olumo area, from the Toku Market down to Shodeke, Senota, we have the first Muslim, the first mosques somewhere there. When you move a little, you now get to Olumo Rock, and then you have the Abiola's house, both the right and left. We're having an handshake with the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. We want to have, a plan around that area so that we can make it tourism, related activities, so that when you are planning your time, you have the mall, you visit the mall, you have, hotels around there to want to stay, you want to visit some historical monuments, and then you get to Olumo. That's what we can do as a government, the one that is flexible for us to be able to have it at a stretch for about 1 week or two for anybody that is planning solid. That's what we can do. But that other cultural one, I think it's going to be a little difficult. Trying to change their belief. Like I said, culture is about what people believe, and they cannot challenge it. They don't want to see, you don't want to say why. The white man will always say, why is it? They don't want to, they just believe it. That's just take it like that. Don't query it. Don't ask for questions. That's it. So it's going to be a little difficult. You're just going to make your choice. Are you coming for Judioba? Are you coming for Orono? Are you coming for Lishabi? Are you coming to Ota? And some other places like that. That's what you're going to do. You're going to plan your time, around those periods, just around those periods that have been fixed.
So we are sure that in years to come, we'll see a new dimension in the culture and tourism.
Yes, as a government, I'm very proud to say it, ably led by His Excellency Prince Dr. Dapo Abiodun FR. He's a man that is focused. He's a man that wants quality. He's a man that God has given. He's so deliberate, methodical in his way of approach. He's just somebody that is just, and somebody that is accountable, and he said to do the needful. We're going to leave Ogun State. That's I'm saying. We're going to leave Ogun State better off after 8 years. We're going to leave it better off than any other administrations that come. It will be very, very difficult for you to beat the record of what we're going to leave. We trust God. For 2 years, look at what we have been able to achieve. So I want to tell you that it's going to be very difficult for any other administration to come and beat that record. Do we want them to beat that record?
All right.
So we're going to leave Ogun State better off than what we.
All right. That's quite reassuring.
Yeah.
Well, I've been interacting with the Honorable Commissioner for Culture and Tourism in Ogun State, Dr. Toyin Taiwo, and he has assured us that tourism in Ogun State is going to get a better deal under this administration. It's just a matter of time as they are working all around the clock to ensure that. I thank you for being part of the show today. This same time next week is another time together on Focus Live with another interesting discussion. Until then, I leave you in the hands of Almighty God. Bye-bye.